So in this lecture, we're going to cover the ideas of power and work and a couple of other assorted important ideas that will show up on the conceptual test. So first of all, let's talk about negative energy. So if energy is the accounting system for the universe, what does it mean if your net worth is negative? So for example, you go to medical school and when you are done, your net worth is negative $250,000. What does that mean? Well, if you are in debt, it means you've got to pay back $250,000 just to get to being broke. You're not broke, you're worse than broke. So after you pay back $250,000, now your net worth is zero. And then you can start building it up from there. But a negative net worth means that you are what we call in debt. In the old days, they would throw you in a debtor's prison. So since we have an accounting system for the universe, what does it mean to have a negative gravitational potential energy? Well, imagine the ground right here is y equals 0. What happens if you fall in a hole? What if the potential energy of this gecko is negative 1,000 joules? What does that mean? Well, that means he's somehow got to get 1,000 joules of energy to get back to 0. So if he gets up here, he has no energy at all. He has no kinetic and no potential. So down here he has negative energy. So we say he is trapped. He is in a hole, or he is in what we call a bound state. In chemistry, we refer to electrons in bound states. So gravitational energy can be negative. A negative potential energy means you're trapped in a hole, and you need energy just to get free. So that's gravitational potential energy. On the other hand, kinetic energy can never be negative because kinetic energy is energy of motion. You can't get lower than 0. You can't go any slower than 0. So it doesn't matter which way you're going, you have kinetic energy if you're moving. So it cannot be negative. So some applications. This is a very interesting diagram, and I'm not going to spend much time on it here. But the idea is that we are on Earth, and we are not free to wander the universe. You are stuck on the Earth. We would need to add an awful lot of energy to you to get you off the Earth. And that's represented by this little hole right over here called Earth. So in order to get you to the moon, we've got to add energy to get you out of that gravitational hole. To get to Mars, we got to add a lot more energy. And to get even farther away, we got to add a lot of energy. And then if you got close to Jupiter, you would fall in a huge hole and you'd never get out. So this just shows you the relative sizes of the energy debts objects have on different planets. If you are on Venus, you've got to add an awful lot of energy to get farther away from the sun all the way over to Earth. So that's what that means. Just a quick connection to some things you maybe learned in the past. In chemistry, you talked about the energy levels of electrons, and they were negative. That means that the electrons are bound. They have to gain energy just to get free. How much energy they have to gain, we call the ionization energy. So we represented it with tables like this. Here's 0, and the closer and closer the electron is to the nucleus, the more and more energy debt it has. We also graphed it like this. We represented the energy levels, and in order to get an electron like here free, you had to add energy. That was called the ionization energy, and that's how much energy it took to get an electron free. So these are ideas you've seen before. So there's another example of what's called the ionization energy, how much energy it takes to get the electron free of the atom so that it now has 0 energy. All right, so back to the ideas of work, energy, and power. If I take a big pond of water and I transfer all of that water up to the water tower, I have done work. The water up here has gravitational potential energy because of its location, and that energy came from me carrying bucket after bucket all the way from the ground up to the water tower. So we say that the work is the transfer of energy from one form to another. So up here, we have energy in the form of gravitational potential energy. Now, we could carry that up bucket by bucket and maybe take a couple weeks to do that. Or maybe we could get a really big pump and we could pump it up really fast. In both cases, the same amount of work was done. The difference is how long it took to do the work. And this idea of how long it takes to do the work or to transfer the energy is what we call power. So power is the rate that energy is transferred from one form to another. To find the power, we take the energy transferred, So we write W for work, but we think energy transferred, divided by the time. If the work, the energy transferred, is in joules and the time is in seconds, then the power is in joules per second, which is a watt. So that's the standard unit of power, the watt, which is 1 joule per second. There's some other ways we measure power. Horsepower is an example of how we measure power, and we did a lab with this, so we talked a little bit about the fact that the horsepower is the rate that a mining mule can transfer energy. And there's also calories per minute. If you're on the exercising machine in the weight room, it reads out your power in calories per minute. You could also measure the power in BTUs of energy transferred per hour, so that would be like your air conditioner or your heater. And this conversion here is in your toolbox, so check and make sure. 1 horsepower is 745 watts. That's going to be quite useful. In general, however, any unit of energy divided by any unit of time is a valid unit of power. All right, now when we transfer energy, we have different, for example, charging your phone or your iPad, you have different charging bricks. And this one here, this little one, it's 5 or 10 watts. That means it can transfer 5 or 10 joules of energy every second. This one here can transfer maybe 10 or 20 joules every second. So it can add energy at a greater rate. And if you have a MacBook or a larger computer, you might have a bigger charger. It adds much more energy per second, so it's a greater power. So when you buy a charger on Amazon, you can actually look and see what is the power. And that's telling you the rate that energy is being transferred, how many joules it transfers every second. So a quick vocabulary review. This gets a little confusing. Energy is the ability of a system to do something for us. We measure the energy in joules. We can think about energy as the accounting system for the universe. Work is the transfer of energy from one form to another. We measure the work in joules since it's a transfer of energy. Power is not energy and it is not work. It is the rate at which the energy is transferred from one form to another, and we measure that in joules per second or in watts. So power is not a unit of energy. A watt is not a unit of energy. It's a unit of power. So there's a little bit of confusion. We just got to be careful. In an equation, when you see a W in an equation as a variable, it represents work, and that's measured in joules. And that work is the energy transferred from one form to another. So here in an equation, W represents the work. On the other hand, W is also a unit. And so when it's used as a unit, like if the power equals 100 watts, this is a unit. As a unit, it represents watts, and that's a unit of power, which is a joule per second. So just be careful. I know it's a little confusing. When you see W's laying around, try to figure out what they mean. If it's in an equation, it represents work, which is the transfer of energy. If it's a unit after a number, then it's a unit of power, and that represents joules per second. Let me solve 3 example problems for you to see how this all works. The first one's an easy one. What is the power of a lawnmower that can do 14 million joules of work during the 60 minutes you mow your yard? Okay? And remember, a million means 10 to the 6th. So we have some dude mowing his yard. We know the work. It's 14 million joules. And we know the time is 60 minutes. We convert that to seconds. So to find the power, we simply take the work that's done divided by the time. That's 14 million joules divided by 3,600 seconds. That is 3,900 watts. That is to say, your lawnmower is transferring energy from chemical potential energy, stored in the gas tank, to kinetic energy of the spinning blade. It's transferring that energy at a rate of 3,900 joules of energy every second. That's what the power means. A lot of times we don't really speak in watts, so we convert to horsepower to make sense of the number. If I take 3,900 watts and I multiply it by 1 horsepower for every 745 watts, then the watts cancel here, and I'm left with a 5.2 horsepower mower. So if you go to Lowe's and you look on the shelf, you'll actually see the lawnmowers rated by their power, the rate they transfer energy. And 5 horsepower is a common mower a little push mower here. Okay, so make sure you line up the conversions so that the watts cancel. Now, if power is work over time, then we can solve for the work. It's the power times the time. So work is power times time. If I have 100 joules per second and I multiply it by 60 seconds, that's 6,000 joules of energy. So multiplying a power times the time gives you an energy. That means that if we transfer 1,000 joules of energy every second, that's 1,000 watts, and we do it for an entire hour, how much energy would that be? Well, 1,000 joules every second times 3,600 seconds would be 3.6 million joules. This 3.6 million joules is what we call a kilowatt. So 1,000 joules per second is a kilowatt, and 3,600 seconds is an hour. So 1 kilowatt hour is 3.6 times 10 to the 6 joules. So this is a handy conversion to have because when we talk about electrical energy, this is the unit we use to measure it, the kilowatt hour. So you just need to be able to convert. If I tell you that somebody uses 3 kilowatt hours, you just take 3 times this much and you'll have how many joules of energy they used. So if you look at your electric bill when it comes in the mail, you'll actually see that they print up here how many kilowatt hours of energy you used. And in Indiana, a kilowatt hour is about 10 or 12 cents. And so 924 times 12 cents is about $100. You add some taxes and your bill is $120. So that's how they charge us for electricity. So we just need to be able to convert, and that conversion factor is handy. So let's do another example problem. I've got a hair dryer and it's an 1800 watt hair dryer. That means it transfers 1,800 joules of energy every second. How much will be transferred in the 8 minutes that this person uses it to dry her hair? Okay, so you can draw diagrams that help you here. I'm converting electrical potential energy to heat. And so I know the power, the rate energy is transferred, and I know the time. It's 8 minutes, which I convert to seconds. So I've got to find the work. So I'm simply going to solve this equation for the work. That's the energy transferred. It's the power times the time. I take 1,800 joules, multiply it by 480 seconds, and I get 864,000 joules. That's the work, the energy transferred. Now, how much would it cost me? Well, in NewPal, electrical energy is about 10 cents for each kilowatt hour. So I can use this as a conversion factor. So I'm going to start with 864,000 joules. I'm going to convert it from joules to dollars because my conversion is that 10 cents and 1 kilowatt hour of energy are the same thing. So I can put it, these are the same, they're a conversion factor, so I can put the joules in the bottom so they cancel the joules, and then I can run the numbers through my calculator, and it's 2.4 cents. So it costs 2.5 cents to blow dry your hair for 8 minutes. It's really not that much. Electricity's pretty cheap in Indiana. All right, now, third example, we're going to put these two ideas together, the conservation of energy and the idea that power is the work divided by the time. So I've got a truck. It's 2,500 kilograms, and it's at rest. I've got to get it moving 25 meters per second, and I got to do that in 8 seconds. At what rate must the engine transfer energy? So the first thing I have to do is figure out how much energy's got to be transferred, and then I'll have to figure out what power I need, the rate energy is transferred. So here's my variable list. It's H initial and H final, V initial, V final, M and W. So that's from the conservation of energy. And then I'm going to also have power and time. So these are the things I know. I'm going to apply the conservation of energy principle and build myself a big old equation. My plan is to solve this equation for the work. I want to know how much energy I've got to transfer to get this truck moving. It's kind of an easy problem because H initial and H final are 0. So although my plan is to solve for W, a whole bunch of things are 0. That leaves me with W is equal to 1/2 mv final squared. I can plug in my numbers and I can figure out I've got to transfer 781,000 joules of energy. Now, I've got to do that in 8 seconds. So what power do I need? The power is the work divided by the time. I found the work in step 1, so I'm going to use that in step 2 here. I take the work, divide it by the time, and that tells me the power. It's 97,000 watts. That's the rate the energy must transfer energy. Now, we don't really speak watts, so our last step is going to be to convert that to horsepower. So we know there's 745 watts in 1 horsepower. So we can take our 97,000 watts, multiply it by 1 horsepower for every 745 watts. The watts cancel, and that leaves us with a 130 horsepower engine. And so the size of the engine we need to accomplish this task is 130 horsepowers. Okay, so that's a problem that involves both the energy, conservation of energy, and the new idea that power is the work divided by the time. So you're going to solve some problems. The first couple are rather easy. They're like example 1 and 2. And then the second batch, the second half of that assignment, is a little more complicated problems that involve 2 steps, solving the energy conservation for one thing and then using that here, or maybe using this to find W and then using this to find something else. Okay? All right, so good luck.